Good morning, children. In previous class, we have seen about the types of root system, that is taproot system and fibrous root system. A taproot system consists of the main roots and the lateral roots, whereas the fibrous root system, they all start from the base of the stem and all are lateral roots and with the rootlets. Isn't it? They're all of the same size. Whereas the taproot forms the main root and the lateral roots arises over the main root in the taproot system. So in what type of plants we find this taproot system and in which type of plants do you find the fibrous root system, we'll see now. Before entering into that part, first I want to tell you about the monocots and dicots. What are these monocots and dicots? In the previous class, we have seen about the seeds. So the seeds with the single cotyledon is called as monocots. How is it? So I tell you now. So see here, this is a ragi. An activity we can perform to know about the monocots and dicots plants. Okay, children, these are the ragi seeds. If you soak them in the soil and give them the needed, that is the sunlight, air, water, everything, they develop into the seeds, develop into the new plant. First a baby plant, it germinates, isn't it? So the seeds germinate into a baby plant. The development of the new plant or the baby plant from the seeds is called as germination. As you know it, you have learned in your smallest classes also, isn't it? So what is germination? It is the growth of the baby plant from a seed. So normally when after germination, the seeds, the two leaves that arises after the germination are called as the seed leaves. The seed leaves are called as cotyledons. What are they called as? Cotyledons. So the seed leaves, from that day it arises the shoot system and the root system. Root system moves to the from below the stem, that is it moves into the soil, and the shoot system grows above the soil. That I have already told you in the parts of the plant and I explained you everything in it. And if you take this ragi and the bean seeds, it's the soya bean seeds I have taken, you can also take the bean seeds for example, and both these seeds, if you soak them separately in a soil of a container of any paper cups and so on, if you take the soil in it and soak them for few days along with the water and provide them with the water and sunlight, they grow into the baby plant. When so the seed sprouts, so after sprouting of the seeds, you can see that it germinates into a baby plant. So the newborn baby plant, that is a sapling from the seeds leaves that are protected by the embryo from the fruit. Normally the seeds is developed from the fruits. You know it, isn't it? Fruits contain the seeds. See the figure here, children. So the fruit contain the seed coat. Inside the seeds, the seed is covered by the seed coat which contains the embryo. Is it clear, children? The seed contains the embryo that is called as that develops into a tiny plant. Okay, so this seed coat or the seed coat contains they develop into the leaves, stems and root parts during the germination process. So the food that is supplied for the seed is through the endosperm to the embryo. But this is only the short-term supply of food for the seed for the embryo, that is through which the seed develops into a baby plant. It is called as embryo. Okay, children. So under the favorable conditions, the seed develops into the new plant or the baby plant develops from the seed by taking the food from the embryo or the endosperm that produces the food to the embryo, that is the baby plant which develops from it. So the seed is the fertilized ovules that you can learn in the higher classes about what are ovules and what is ovary and all. The seed contains in it, and this is called as a seed. You usually know it about it. And the baby plant inside the embryo is called as inside the seed. This is a seed. The baby plant that grows from the embryo is called as an embryo that develops the baby plant. Okay, children. So this embryo or the seed is protected by the cotyledons. So these cotyledons are called as the seed leaves. Cotyledons is called as the seed leaves. Okay children, hope you have understood about this. What is germination? Germination is the growth of baby plant from the seed or sprouting of the seeds is called as germination. Today's topic is about the germination. What are monocots and what are dicots? In this, here the growth of baby plant from the seed is called as germination. And here the seed, if you take the seed, it's enclosed in the fruits. Fruits contain the seeds in them. Seeds contain the embryo. Embryo develops into the new plant. Is it clear children? So the embryo, it develops the new plant with the leaves, roots and the stems parts with taking the food from the endosperm. It's only the short term production of the food through the endosperm through the embryo. Is it clear? By the embryo takes food from the endosperms. Embryo takes food from the endosperm. Is it clear? So this is the fruit, seed inside the fruit. This is the seed coat. This is embryo. Embryo is supplied food through the endosperm. So now, what is a seed? It's a fertilized ovule. It's called as a seed. Embryo. So embryo is a baby plant inside the seed. Embryo is the baby plant inside the seed. And it is protected by, this embryo is protected by the cotyledons. What are the cotyledons? The first leaves that arise during the germination process are called as seed leaves or cotyledons. What are cotyledons children? Cotyledons. They are the first seed leaves that arise from, in the 5th class also I have studied about the seed leaves, isn't it? Seed leaves. It's the first leaves that arise from the embryo or the baby plant, we can say, from the baby plant. Okay children? The first seed leaves that arise from the seeds are called as seed leaves or cotyledons. Or it is also called as cotyledons. Okay children, so the development of the baby plant from the seed leaves is called as the germination process. So the seeds which enclose only single monocot, that is the cotyledon, that is the seed leaf, that is called as monocotyledon. The seeds with single cotyledons or the seed leaves, the seeds which encloses within single cotyledon is called as monocots plants or monocotyledons. Monocotyledon plants, or they are also called as monocots. They are also called as monocots. The seed which encloses two cotyledons within single. The seeds which encloses within two cotyledons. Two cotyledons are called as dicots or dicotyledons. Dicots are dicotyledons. If you see the seeds of groundnuts, you can see that after they are being soaked or for a few days and you sow them in the soil, they germinate and you can see that the seed is enclosed with two cotyledons. You can break them into two equal halves, isn't it? So from these two halves arises a baby plant, isn't it? The similar process you can observe in the bean seeds also. The same process you observe in the bean seed also. So this is also a dicot. Whereas the ragi, jowar, maize, paddy, they are all single cotyledons. The seed is enclosed with a single cotyledon. So we can say that these plants belong to monocot plants, where monocots are, for examples we can say, what are monocots and what are dicots? Seeds which enclose single cotyledon. So single seed leaves arise from it. They are called as monocot plants. The seeds which enclose two cotyledons are called as dicot plants. Example for monocot plants: paddy, maize, ragi, jowar, all the millets. Is it clear? They belong to monocots. And the dicots if you take. So grass also is a monocot. Grass seeds if you see, they are also monocots. If you see the dicot plants, the dicots mainly being groundnuts, mango seed if you take, you can cut them into two equal half and the leaves arises through the cut, that is the enclosure of the seed cut that arises from it, isn't it? The roots from the bottom and the leaves are arranged at the shoot system. Is it clear? So you can see this in the mango, groundnut, beans, peas. So these are all the examples for dicots. Is it clear, children? If you observe the seeds, you can easily see which part of them are monocot plants and which are the dicot plants. The seed which encloses with a single cotyledon are called as monocots, and the seeds which encloses with the two cotyledons are called as dicots. The name itself tells us that they contain two cotyledons. The seeds enclosure in the two cotyledons. Okay, children. Now I'll tell you about the tuberous plants, tuberous roots and tuberous stems. So if you have seen the beetroot, carrot, turnip, all these are the roots that we take in our food, isn't it? So these, if you soak in the water, for observation, if you take the carrot, it is very difficult to observe through the beetroot, but if you take the carrot and soak it in the water with the blue ink and observe after some few hours, you can see that the blue color enters into its roots. That means root, this is the root that absorbs water into it. So one of the basic function of the root is absorption. You have known it, isn't it? Absorption, fixation, and it's also stores the food material. Roots also stores the food material, that you have learned it. Now you can see the functions of the root as they develop into new plant, that is, and also fixes the plant firmly into the soil. Roots fix the plant firmly into the soil. Again, types of root system and functions of root system. Types of root system you have seen as taproot system and fibrous root system. And seeds also develop during germination process. They develop the roots when they are sown in the soil. The seeds sown in the soil, they rise into the baby plant by giving the roots and the shoot system. That is, leaves and stems develop over it, isn't it? So this is the functions of the root system are, first one is fixation. I told you before, again I am repeating, fixation, absorption, and the third one is storage. Some of the roots also store the food materials in them, as in case of beetroot, radish, turnip, carrot. So these are all the roots, the food items that can store the food materials in their roots. And there are some plants in which the food is stored in their stems also, that I'll tell you later. So here you know about the functions of the root system. Roots fix the plant firmly in the soil. Root absorb water and mineral salts from the soil. Root also store the food materials in them. So these are the functions of the roots. Okay, children, next we'll go to the what are stems and how the stems perform their functions. What are the functions of the stems also? You can also do the experiment with the root system by taking two glass tumblers and taking the tender stems with roots. Okay, children, for knowing the absorption of water through the roots. Absorption of water through roots. Take two glass tumblers, children, and this is a wooden plank. This is a tender stem along with the roots. It contains the leaves. So this is a small experiment that you can carry out to know that plants absorb water through their roots. Is it clear, ma? You can normally, if you take the water alone, you cannot say that they absorb the water and mineral salts unless and until they are grown to some extent. So for here, this is the water, tender stem along with roots. These are leaves. Okay, children. So you have to keep this for 3 to 4 hours. It's enough. If you keep it, take the tender stem plant along with the root, keep it in a glass of water, 3/4 of water. The glass is filled with 3/4 of water. Then after 3 to 4 hours of your observation, you can see that the water is absorbed by the plant. How can you see? The water is colorless. So if you want to know it, you add red ink or blue ink to it. Red ink or blue ink. When you add the red ink or blue ink to the water, it mixes with the water, and along with the water it absorbs the color also. The roots absorbs the color, and you can see the tiny blue spots over it. You can see the tiny blue spots over. This is the blue color, no? So when you add the color, if it is blue color, you get the blue spots over the leaves and the stem also. Is it clear, children? So from this experiment, you can prove that roots absorb water and mineral salts from the soil. Roots absorb water and mineral salts from the soil. So this is an experiment to prove that roots absorb water and mineral salts from the soil. The same experiment can be done with the stem also. So here what did you see? In this experiment you have seen that the root, after the absorption of water through the roots, the stem conducts it to the leaves. You can also see the tiny spots of blue color over the leaves and stem also. From this it is observed that stem absorbs water, that is it conducts the water that is absorbed by the roots. Okay, children, so absorption of water by the stem also it takes place. So functions of the stem are functions of stem. They are support. They support the leaves or bear the leaves and other fruits, flowers and all by the stem. And next one is conduction. It conducts the water and supplies the minerals from the roots to other parts of the plant and vice versa, and again back to the roots for the help for the growth of the plant. Thus it helps for the growth of the plant also. That is about the stem. And some of the stems also store food in them. Storage also. Like if you see the potato, onion, these store their food in their stem. And the garlic and the turmeric, they are the tuberous stems. They are called as tuberous stems. In fact, there are the storage stems, they are called as tuberous stems. The roots that store food materials, they are known as tuberous roots. The stems which store their food materials in them, they are called as tuberous stems. I told you the examples of tuberous stems and tuberous roots. Tuberous roots, as you know, carrot, beetroot, turnip, or these all come under radish, all come under the tuberous roots. Whereas tuberous stems are potato, garlic, onion. Onion is a bulb, okay, it also belongs to the tuberous stem in itself, and also turmeric, sugar cane, these are all tuberous stems. Okay, children, so the stem part it grows. So this is about the tuberous roots and tuberous stems. Children, you can also see some of the roots that are hanging over the branches, like in banyan tree. Obviously, you have observed it, isn't it? You will be tying the swing threads through the banyan tree because it's so strong, isn't it? So they are the roots that hang over. They give additional support to the plant. In fact, they have the roots at the bottom of the ground, and also they have the roots that are aerial. Over the branches also you can see the roots that are hanging down. And some of the roots you can find in the sugar cane, isn't it? In the banyan, the roots are different. They are aerial roots. Aerial roots in banyan, for example. And if you take sugarcane. Stilt roots, it's called as stilt roots in sugarcane. They also give additional support to the plant. So if it is like this, you can see that there may be the roots at the side, isn't it? So like this you can find the sugarcane, you can find the roots also to them. So this give additional support to the plants. In fact, about the absorption, fixation, storage, they also give additional support